This podcast is supported by The RealReal. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, everybody. Close enough. Happy Monday on another beautiful July week. I have a crazy story for you, Neil, and for us viewers that happened on Friday. You ready for it?
Yeah.
So Friday, first things first, found a hole in my tire, right? We got that patched up, no problem, right?
Good.
Come home to find out that a couch that we have grew mold. A brand new couch grew mold.
A brand new one.
We got it 2 months ago. 2 months ago. And there was mold grew underneath it. Mainly two reasons. Because one, the dehumidifier that we have sucks. Okay. It's old. And the other is the fact that we didn't have it like raised high enough because it's fairly low to the ground, so no air can get under it.
Mm-hmm.
My weekend consisted of cleaning this goddamn place. It was crazy.
Oh, jeez.
So I recommend that people watch out for mold because that stuff is not fun.
Yeah. No, I've spent, the last, 6-7 months, helping my family clean a lot of different things in the house because we're selling it. We're moving into a new place, this, that, and the other thing.
Nice.
I thought that there was going to be a lot more mold down in the basement. There wasn't as much, which was kind of like a pretty impressive. Because, my parents have had this house for 30 plus years at this point. And so, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, it's not. I don't know if you've ever watched it. I've watched this show called Bar Rescues on Paramount.
Yeah, I love it. Love
and the amount of episodes I've seen where like they show like black mold or like mold in general. And I'm always watching these shows and I'm like, how do these people like go home every day and not like clean anything at all? I find that like fascinating to me.
I find it crazy because it's like it's a huge difference between having your home and owning a bar, right?
Or a restaurant or business.
Right. You look at those two comparisons because in your home, right, like you can kind of let that stuff happen, but you find it and you're like, oh, okay, no problem. Like I can clean this up, no problem.
Sure.
For whatever reason, like guys who do that, like that's a place that you're trying to make money.
Yes, absolutely.
Like
and it's important to clean like every day. Like they tell you
want to clean every ounce of it. Like oh god,
and especially if you have a team of like 6-7 people, like you can definitely get it done.
There should be like a night to like close the bar early or close early and decide, we're spending a couple hours. We got to clean this fucking place.
And there's bars that like, they'll say that they close at 11, but really they wrap everything up like an hour before. And then they use that last hour to just kind of like clean everything and all that. It's just,
man. And cool.
I don't get it. But
yeah, mold, clean your place, guys. Like it's
the worst kind of mold though is mold you find in like food. That I still to this day like mold, like seeing mold in like things like a couch like is still disgusting, but it's not. Yeah, it's not as bad. But
not fun. Thank God we caught it. It's all good now,
Thank
but
goodness. Sure.
hopefully there's no other issues. But that
Yes.
was not a fun time.
I got burned. I don't know. You guys can't really see it that well, sort of.
Yeah.
I got burned. I was at the Yankees Mets game yesterday, and like, I don't know if you've had this issue, Kyle, where like when you go to the beach or pool, your first assumption is to like put on sunscreen. At least like most people, that's their
I had
first.
to do that
thought.
Saturday. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, like when I go to like a sporting event or something, I don't think about it. Like it doesn't, or like if I'm going out with my friends to like
Sure.
a bar or a restaurant or whatever, I don't think about it. And I don't understand why that. I guess it's because it's not talked about as much.
No,
Like
not
people
really.
pushing to like, because you're still outside. Like it's not like anything changed. So yeah, I was on the train home. That's when I first looked. I looked down at my arm and I was like, oh, look at that.
Crap.
And I was like, well, that sucks. And then it was a slow burner for like, no pun intended. It was, I touched it at first, didn't hurt. It just felt really hot. But I slowly started to get itchy and I'm like a little bit of burning. I'm like, yeah, this sucks. So, you know,
Yeah.
aloe's, when you get burned, guys, aloe is your best friend. Aloe is your best friend. Also
Totally.
starch. I use starch spray and
Oh,
that
yeah,
works
I've heard
like a
that one.
charm. Yeah, it's crazy.
I've heard of that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to do that Saturday because it was super humid. But it's funny,
Yeah.
like, you know, the worst place to have your burn is, or have a burn? On your feet.
Really?
Oh my God, because then you have to walk afterwards.
Oh,
like,
yeah, and you gotta like
somewhere.
constantly
Oh,
press
it
down on it.
sucks. It
It's
sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm trying. You know, the only place I've never gotten burnt is like my legs. I always found that weird. Like even if I don't put on sunscreen, I don't get burnt. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I always
Or you
imagine-
know what's funny is like when you go to an amusement park, which I haven't been to in a while, but like you go there and when you get in, it's like for whatever reason, it's like very cool. It's a cool climate almost, despite it being a hot day, and you don't
Sure.
really think about it, right?
No, you don't, and you get fooled, right? Because it's like, oh, it's only 80
Yeah.
degrees today. Oh, that's not bad. But then you realize, like, no, it's still like
Totally. You
it's
totally
not
get fooled.
good. So,
Well,
So-
today is our last.
oh, you
live-
got roasted by the way by some of my friends because you said July 4th last week,
Oh,
and people were like, "What the hell was that?"
I'm Canadian. What do you want?
Yeah. They were like, "Oh, so should we start calling Canada Day of Canada?" I'm like, it's essentially the same thing.
It's pretty much the same. Yeah,
It's true,
that's
but
fine.
nonetheless. Anyway,
I'm also a dumbass, but whatever.
Yeah.
But today is our last live stream for the summer. I have a
long.
date where we will be back.
okay,
I have September 8th
cool.
is when we'll be back because what the
Nice.
plan is going to be. Going to release an episode every Monday. Going to work on it this week. But I'm basically going to do a quick 10-minute little power hour of our draft prospects
Sure.
in 2025. That's going to take up most of the summer.
Ooh.
So we'll be getting that to you guys every Monday. If there's anything that breaks, we'll try to get live for you if possible. We know that there's other great outlets as well too who can maybe.
I
break
also,
a
if
certain
you're
Anderson
not
trade.
available, I can certainly jump on
Yeah,
real quick and just kind of get
Beautiful.
people.
we'll
to
see
get
what
that.
happens, but that's gonna be the
Awesome.
plan. This is gonna kind of be it. So let's try to milk this one out today. Why don't we?
Let's make it 3 hours long, shall we?
No kidding, right?
Talk about our favorite moments of the season. No, we can actually do that.
We could do that. Yeah, we could do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start though. We haven't really talked about Flames free agency, considering the last time we chatted was just before free agency. And a couple of signings that took place. So let's jump right into it. Before we do, I should say there was an update here on both Anderson and Zari that just came out within the last hour.
Oh, okay.
So this is from Eric Francis, who's an analyst for Sportsnet for the Flames over there. Basically, with Connor Zari, expect a 2-year bridge deal coming up for the talented youngster. He can up his value following an injury-riddled season. So expect at some point that a 2-year deal is going to come into play here for Connor Zari. And the other update so far that we have on Anderson, and we'll get into it a bit more, is the team would love to trade Anderson before the fall and avoid the risk of injury, but Conroy pledges to keep him as long as necessary to maximize the return on a highly sought righty entering his prime. So they're going to keep him until they get the right price. We do have more word on that too as well. I'll get into that a bit later, but let's start with what we know so far. And it goes all the way back to just after Kevin Ball got his signing taken care of. It's some AHL guys as well too here, but let's just quickly go through it. Luckily, there isn't a lot. Clark Bishop, who's been a really good guy for the AHL, he actually did appear for the Flames in 2 or 3 games this year. He signs another 1-year, 2-way deal for Calgary. Joel Hanley, one of the more notable ones to begin free agency on July 1st. He re-ups at 2 years at $1.75 million. Let's start right there. Joel Hanley, 2 years, $1.75 million. One of the bigger reasons that they wanted to keep him for 2 more years is because that line that he was with and paired up with Mackenzie Weegar last year worked really well. It was a really good shutdown pair defenseman. And for Joel Hanley, he had a really good year as well, too. And if it's something that where he has another good year coming up, it might be a good bargaining chip as well, too. But they've really liked him so far with Mackenzie Weegar. He earned it. He had a great year last year. And to me, you're not wasting a ton of cap space either. You're only wasting about 1% of it at 1.75. And I think he actually deserved it considering the year that he had on a well-earned deal. I don't love the term, if I'm honest. I would rather it be a 1-year deal, and just kind of figure it out and go from there because you want to see what your youngsters can do. So, it's not like they can't just put him down in the AHL either. It's only at $1 million or they want to just dump him. We could see. But I'm very curious to see what Hanley does this year on this 2-year deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I definitely agree with you that a 2-year deal is a little bit of a stretch, but it's also not the worst thing in the world either. I think it gives you a little bit of flexibility because what it does is it gives your young defenseman a little bit more time to develop in the minors and in juniors. And you have a little bit more veteran stability. And like you said, Hanley did have a strong year. He actually had one of the better plus minuses last year on the team at plus minus of a plus 12. Considering that the Flames struggled very mightily to score, the fact that he ended up with a plus minus of plus 12, I think speaks to how strong he was on the back end.
Correct.
And yeah, I mean, this is a guy that I think can average 10 to 15 points. And that's fine, for a guy that plays in that. And like you said, he played really well with Weegar. Weegar even talked about it at the end of the year that he really felt that as the season went on, him and Hanley seemed to really, really work well together. They practiced a lot together. So I would expect next year that that's going to end up being the pairing again, which is totally fine. So I don't really have a problem with Hanley coming back. I don't know if he's a top 4 defenseman. It's going to be interesting. I think that's kind of where I'm a little bit unsure. The term is, again, it's 1 year, maybe too much. But again, it's a little less than $2 million. I'm not really.
That's why you can be okay with that. If it's a 2-year gap, right?
Sure.
And
when you look at some of the other moves that teams have made with long 4 or 5 year deals, but it's stretched out to where it's less than $2 million.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal, honestly.
Yeah.
The term
for a 34-year-old
scare
too.
People.
Yeah. For a 34-year-old as well too, right?
This is probably his last major contract. For Hanley, I could see after these 2 years he may hang it up. Who knows?
We'll see. And that's just one contract you're okay with letting expire. Yeah, again, I would have liked it more at 1 year. To be fair though, he did earn it. Give him a lot of credit. And again, he's a guy he's somebody you're not going to look at to put up points though, right? That's why going into next year, so far, it's more than likely going to be Hanley with Weegar, and then it's going to be Parekh with Kevin Ball. Assuming
that's fine.
Now it's going to be fascinating because it's all under the assumption that Rasmus Andersson is gone, right? So, and I think we talked about it last time where we said you need to get rid of him because there's been too much noise around it and you don't want that going into training camp, right?
It's one of the most talked about things in the rumor mill right now, considering that we've kind of gone through the first wave of free agency. And now we kind of go into that second wave going into this week where you don't really know what's going to happen, but then signings are going to happen at some point. Also, by the way, here's a fun fact for you, Kyle. Do you know so Hanley's first year in the league was 2015, 2016.
Yes.
He did not score his first goal in the NHL until 2021-22 in his second year with the Dallas Stars. I mean, that's not a knock on him. It's clearly obvious he's not a, huge point defenseman.
He's not at all.
And I think and you know what? he actually had a career high this year in points and in goals and in assists. So he actually had a career year in Calgary last year.
That's crazy.
Good for him. At 36 or 34 years of age, he's stepping up.
I think what's really nice though too, and it's going to feed well going into the year, is if there's ever an injury, but between any of the four of them, right? This is all under the assumption that Anderson's going to be gone before we begin the season, which we're kind of hoping for, right? If any one of those guys gets injured at any point, it's easy to bring up and down in the lineup, right? Like, let's just take Hanley, for example, if he gets hurt, no problem. Ball can come up, right? And play on that top line because both Ball and Hanley are guys who are more of that defensive defenseman where you look at guys like Weegar and Parekh, who are guys that clearly are more gifted offensively, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a really good mesh there of those four guys knowing exactly who they are. I'm kind of curious to see if the Flames are done in terms of their top six. I'm curious to see what their 5-6 is going to look like coming up. We know that Braden Pahal is probably going to be one who's still sticking around there because he also signed a 2-year deal earlier on in the season, if you forget. So Pahal is probably going to be sticking around there on the right D side. I think if anything, now that Jake Bean's contract is done, you wonder what that left D side is going to look like. And you maybe hope that's probably a youngster coming into it. And we'll have to see.
I mean, it's going to go back to what Craig Conroy said last year at the beginning of training camp. And it was all about guys competing and giving opportunity for young guys to compete for spots. And I think that that's probably what you're going to see at training camp this year. And I'm not against it because you're not really banking on hope. You're banking on guys being motivated to want to take that spot. And more competition means you're going to get the best out of guys because they're going to want to push themselves to the limit.
And I think what guys don't, I think what a lot of Flames fans, for me, when I was reading it, when Conroy actually made those comments where he said, like, come take a job, right?
Right.
I don't understand why there was fans kind of like, oh, well, half the roster is already taken up. Like, what are you talking about? No. Like, it's fair game. Like, if somebody's playing better than Blake Coleman's going to go. You know what I mean? Like, you go and you take the job, right? Any job is available. Same thing for Coronado, right? He signs a 7-year deal. You know, hey, by the end of the year, maybe they get rid of him because they found somebody else for the job. Not going to happen. But I'm just stating a fact here,
I would be worried. I would be a tiny bit worried if that happened.
I know, but I'm just stating, like, yes, you probably see. I would probably argue that there's 3 guys on this team, maybe 4, that are untouchable. Right. Other than that,
you put Nazem Kadri in that.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. The whole Flames
because there's been rumors flying around and
such bullshit.
It only particularly for him to go back to the Leafs is what I've been hearing.
It's total.
It's classic Toronto propaganda.
Exactly. There was a signing though that the Flames made on July 1st. 2 signings, I should say. One of them being more of a smaller one, though. It's a 2-way deal here with Nick Sychek. Signed a $775,000 1-year 2-way contract. 25-year-old defenseman. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to be in the AHL again, but who knows? Like, there's going to be a lot of fight here for that bottom 6 alongside Braden Pahal. So there is an opportunity to probably get something there. So we'll see what Nick does with that on his 1-year deal. But then the other one, maybe a little bit more significant here, is Ivan Prosvetov. I think I just said that right.
Prosvetov.
Hey, all right.
Prosvetov, yeah.
So I'm not sure if you want to bring it up on your end there, Neil, but Ivan spent last season with the Colorado Avalanche. He's a 26-year-old goaltender, and essentially what this means on a 1-year deal here at $950,000, essentially what it's going to do, it's going to put a goaltending battle now up for the backup role here between Devin Cooley and Ivan here. So what were your thoughts as the Flames signed a potential backup goaltender here in Prosvetov?
Well, I think what's interesting is that he's coming over from Russia. Last year, he played for CSK Moscow.
Well, he played for Colorado at one point, sorry.
No, you're right. Yes, in 23-24, he actually started 11 games, had a 4-3-1 record with a 3.16 goals against average and a .895 save percentage. Now, granted, I don't want to get on him for that. I don't want Flames fans to start panicking and saying we got to sieve, because I think when I look at, like, I go down to when he played in Moscow this past year, really good numbers: 20-16-2, 2.32 goals against average, and a .920 save percentage. I think that's actually pretty decent. Essentially, what we have here is another young goaltender who is given a 1 year, let's call it prove it deal. Mm-hmm. Kind of a low risk, kind of move to see, all right, let's see if we can maybe get something out of it. And I think when you're looking, especially when you're looking for someone to be the long-term backup for Wolf, I think you're willing to, I think you can easily make those type of moves. Also, there's nothing saying that he doesn't compete for the backup job going into next year. I think he'll be there at training camp probably. I think Devin Cooley is still the front runner to be the backup, because I don't know if the Flames are interested in a veteran backup. I mean, they let Dan Vladar go, which I got to be honest, considering what Vladar got, I think you can kind of feel okay with letting Vladar walk out the door.
But also he wanted more starting time, and he did play a lot of games this year.
And he can definitely compete for the starting job in Philly, that's for sure.
Well, there you go.
And good for him that he found an opportunity.
I do not blame him at all. I don't think anybody blame him. No.
I think, it's funny. I was saying really quickly that, like, Jake Allen, Dan Vladar, it was going to go one of two ways for both of them. I think Jake Allen would have ended up potentially in Philadelphia because they would have given him more money.
Okay.
And I think then Vladar would have ended up signing in New Jersey to be back up to Jacob Markstrom.
Okay.
But then with Jake Allen signing before the 12 p.m., start time last Tuesday, that kind of opened the doors for a lot of different things. But nonetheless, interesting signing. I'm always interested in Russian goaltenders, Kyle. I mean, they come a dime a dozen.
Yep,
everybody gets excited and hoping to find the next, Sorokin or Shesterkin or Vasilevsky or Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. Totally fine with me. I mean, it's a two-way deal, and it's $900. It's less than $1 million, even if he plays in the NHL, which is totally fine.
And I think what's nice too is it's a good situation for where the Flames are at goaltending wise, because they want to get 60 games out of Dustin Wolf coming up, right? He said he wants to play 60. And so it's like, all right, like we can get you 50, 60 around that ballpark. Even if Provostov comes in for 10, and then
10.
Cooley comes in for 10. 10 games, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get whatever. You're going to get what you're going to get here. And you're going to see what these guys can do.
100%.
The other thing to note too as well is that the Flames prospect pool for goaltenders is still fairly deep as well, with Seriev down at Penn State. And then I believe it's Sabrulin, who they picked up last year at the draft. Last year at the draft. So another Russian goaltender. So I don't think they're going to be necessarily in the market a lot going forward for like a true backup goaltender, because they want to see these younger guys continue to come up. And if they're able to provide good backup in case something happens with Wolf, then they have this kind of youth prospect coming through the pool here, and we'll see how it all turns out. Yeah. So no, I like it. I think it's a good 1 year deal. You're not spending a lot of money on it. I can see something like the Flames doing this for maybe a fair amount of time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. I mean, a lot of the time when you get like a really top goaltender and you have a really good one, you're going to end up spending a lot less for a backup. That's just like, and you look at around the league, right? I think now Sergei Bobrovsky is going to end up having another new backup because Vitek Vanacek is now in Utah.
Yep.
With the Rangers, they've constantly thrown different, decent backups. I think Jonathan Quick's probably been very good the last couple of years since he's been in New York.
Totally.
With Sorokin, he's constantly had Varlamov behind him, not paying a whole lot. It's just kind of what it is. It's kind of like, it's what to be expected when you have that. And especially with, I think we're in a tough spot nowadays, Kyle, with goaltending, where it's much harder to find consistently good goaltending.
Correct.
And when you have a really good goaltender, unless you're going to get a massive deal, you are much better off keeping your goaltender. The Flames with Jacob Markstrom, it was a different situation because you did have Dustin Wolf ready to go. And
which is why they wanted him gone.
Which is why they were willing to move on from him. So it made sense.
Correct.
If they didn't have Dustin Wolf, I would have a tough time believing that. I would believe that Markstrom would still be in Calgary right now.
Yeah, with a year left on his deal. Yeah, I think they they would.
And we might be talking about, is he going to get moved at the deadline? Is that the other thing? Like
conversation, correct? Because they had Wolf in the pipeline. Yeah,
right. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. I'm just curious to see what's going to happen at camp here between Cooley and Provostoff here. So I'm excited though. He's a 26-year-old. We'll see if he can prove it. It's only a 1-year deal, so we'll see what happens. And that's the type of stuff you're going to see from the Flames goaltending, goaltending we're going to see in the future. So now let's get to probably the most talked about re-signing here for the Flames here over the past couple of days or so. It was Morgan Frost here, 2 years at $4.375 million in cap hit. Now, what people were not happy about is this now allows, with this re-signing, it allows Morgan Frost to now walk into free agency as a UFA rather than another RFA type deal. So 2 years, $4.375 million. I think it's funny. I'm almost in the same spotlight here with Joel. I don't mind Morgan being here. I didn't mind being here. I want him here for one full season, right?
Yeah.
Full training camp.
Which we're gonna get at least that.
You're gonna get a full training camp with him now instead of getting him back in February, right? Yep. You're gonna get him. You're gonna get him. Coming up here, you get a full training camp with him. You get a full preseason with him. But regardless, you're going to get a full season with him. So I don't mind it. And if it was a 1-year deal, I would be okay with that too, because I know there's tons of second line centermen, especially with what the free agency class looks like next year, that you can go get. So again, I'm really not crazy about the term. I don't like the fact that it's 2 years, to be honest with you. Mind you, it ends right before the Flames begin their new season under the new building, the new stadium, which is nice. I don't like that it's 2 years. It does end before that. The money I don't have a problem with because they have all the cap space in the world to give out. So you want to give this kind of a prove it kind of chance for Morgan. Great. If he has a good year, maybe it's a bargaining chip next year. It might be, right? We'll have to see how it all plays out. It could be a bargaining chip. But again, 26-year-old centerman, he's going to get second line minutes again. Didn't finish that great of a year since he came over to Calgary. He had 3 goals and 12 assists. So it wasn't that great of a stretch, but again, it's tough to kind of find your footing under a new regime, under a new system, especially with him being in Philly for his entire career. So your thoughts on Frost's 2-year extension?
I mean, I agree with you. I think that 2 years, I think what it tells me is this: first and foremost, we're dealing with Darren Ferris, and everybody in the league knows how difficult it is to deal with Darren Ferris. In general, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Darren Ferris is also Mitch Marner's agent. Yes, maybe?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So there you go. Like it's hard. It's really like, so I think what I look at it, this is how I look at it from Morgan Frost's perspective. I think that Frost, I don't know if he's fully like down to be in Calgary long term. I'm just saying, like, that's what I see out of this deal. I see it as he wants to see how he fits in the system, playing, again, full season in Calgary, wants to see where the direction of the team is, because he is 26, right? And he's right there at the beginning of like what I would call the prime of your career.
Sure.
But also Morgan Frost does need to prove a little bit here, because he was not performing all that well in the last year-ish that he was with Philadelphia. If you think he had 11 goals and 14 assists when he came over to Calgary.
Prior to the trade, right?
Prior to the trade. And the Flyers were definitely willing to move on from Morgan Frost pretty easily if we saw the deal. And he only had 3 goals, 9 assists in the 32 games that he was playing with the Flames last year. I would look at it as, for the Flames, it's not the end of the world, because at the same time, you're still getting a young centerman that can play top 6 minutes, and he could certainly help. And like you mentioned, he could be a bargaining chip as well. Who knows what happens this season? Who knows what happens in a year from now, where things go? For all we know, Morgan Frost has a really, really big, really big season, and that really, helps his value, but also helps the Flames as well. The money's not like you said, the money's not a big deal. It's whatever. It's 4.3 million. When no one's paying. Again, guys,
it's not an overpay. It's not an underpay.
It's not it's a pay.
It's a pay. Exactly.
It's a pay. He got paid more than what he was making in Philly. And that's to be expected for a young player like Frost.
And it's not in terms of the cap hit, like we're looking at a time when the Flames they're getting their new stadium where they're not concerned about spending this kind of money.
I think also one thing that you didn't mention that I think should be mentioned is I'm getting the sense that Craig Conroy really likes flexibility in terms of contracts, in terms of it's like he wants to just kind of take it 1 year at a time and always have the flexibility to do things and change the direction.
Bro, that's so true.
A year from now, if we take a major step, let me give you an example. We take a major step, right? Let's say we make the playoffs. We finish top 3 in the Pacific. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
That might make Conroy be like, okay, maybe we're further along in our development of this team than we originally were. So that might change his thought process on what he wants to do. And that might and he has the flexibility to then make a move that, with cap space or assets that might be more beneficial to the team moving forward. That's kind of how I look at it. So that's what I see with this. But I do want to see Frost get top 6 minutes because if this guy's going to prove himself in a full year, I'd like to see him get higher minutes. That's the way I look at it.
Totally. It's so true though, from what you said about it's almost like you're right. Like it's flexibility for him, but also it's Craig Conroy still being in control, right?
Yes.
Like he's in control of the entire situation here. And we'll get into it with Anderson here too, but he's said it from day one. The plan is to be ready when this new arena comes, right? And it's just these slow little deals. You're going to get another 2-year deal come up here with Zary as well. It's a very slow process, right?
I think it's different though with Zary, if I may. I don't mean to interrupt you again. I think it's just that with Zary, he's coming off of an injury, but when he was on the ice, as we saw, the kid's very productive. But he needed to have more of a prove-it deal. I don't know if this is necessarily completely a prove-it deal for Frost, but I think it's hard to say. But I also like it for Craig Conroy because if this doesn't work, if the season ends and Frost didn't have that good of a year, you could definitely move him.
You could, I think. Unless I don't know what his no trade. I don't know what his no team. That
would have to be something to look at. Yes,
if he has a list. So okay, so let me.
I can look that up while you're talking. I can find.
So let me ask you this then.
Yep, go ahead.
So you think it's more of a prove it deal for when Zary gets his bridge deal rather than Frost?
Yes, that's the way I personally look at it.
Okay,
and that's not even a knock on Zary. That's just the fact that I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Zary is younger than Frost.
Yeah.
I want to see Zary keep that performances that he had at the end of the year going into next year. I just want to see it. And then I'm fine. I like Zary a lot. I thought he was one of the bigger surprises for me last year. And that's why I was upset when he got hurt, because I knew he was starting to really, really start to produce. Right. For Frost, it's still a prove-it deal for me, but if I'm being honest, I look at it more like he's trying to prove himself to not just the Flames, but to the league itself that this is a talented kid. For Zary, I think the conversation with Craig Conroy is this. We think you're a very good player. We want you to be here. We want to give you a bridge deal because we want to give you that motivation to take your game to another level.
Right.
That's how I see it.
And I think at some point when you look at a guy like Morgan Frost, like you are who you are at the end of the day, right?
Sure.
And Frost, in my eyes, will never be, unless he goes bananas next season, he's never going to be more than a 1C. Or, sorry, more than a 2C. My mistake. More than a 2C.
Yeah.
Right? At some point as a player, you just are who you are. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a good career year coming up, right?
Yeah.
But I think I think I agree in the sense that that's where I see Frost's ceiling. And with Zary, there's been times where you look at him play and you're like, God damn, this kid could be on the first line, right? But it's been very roller coaster-ish. The injuries haven't really helped, so
Sure.
it's going to be a bigger year for him, and they want to see where they can really slot him. Ideally, I kind of like him on that if they can find a way to get him on that second line with Frost and possibly Coronado, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Sure.
And then we'll probably be hearing soon, very shortly, about Connor Zary. So
now with Morgan Frost, really quickly, he has no stipulations in the first, no clauses in the first year.
Oh.
Next year is a modified no trade clause.
How many teams?
Let's double check.
Like 8?
18.
18.
So this is why it's important.
So that's fascinating.
It is very that's exactly my point. My point is this. That kicks in July 1st.
Next season.
Of next year.
Yep.
So essentially what we have here, Kyle, if we think about it, he kind of signed a 1-year deal with the Flames where both parties are going to see where things go. And in a year, the Flames may say, we could move Morgan Frost and get X, Y, and Z before that modified no trade clause kicks in. Also, the Flames know who the 8 teams are.
The problem is going to be that if Frost doesn't have a good year, right, are you willing to just get rid of him for essentially scraps?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Before the modified no trade clause comes in.
Sure.
That's interesting to watch. And it might be interesting to see what Zary's contract looks like too, if it is a 2-year deal as well. So
I'm going to guess, my guess, by the way, is like 2 years at 2.5 per year.
I think it'll be more. No, it'll be more than that.
You think it'll be more?
Oh yeah. It'll be around. It'll be close to. It'll be around 3. I think around that would be my guess.
So 2 by 6 is what we might be looking. Okay.
That's kind of how I see it. Yeah, I could be wrong. Okay,
we're going to jump off, by the way, and then he's going to sign. Calling it right now.
It always happens.
Yep.
It always happens.
Yeah.
So, more news from Rasmus Andersson.
Wonderful. Oh, and look who's involved again.
So apparently, the Golden Knights are back even after signing Mitch Marner recently to that 8-year deal. Apparently, they're still pushing very hard. And thank you to Flames Nation, by the way, for publishing this article. Apparently, the Golden Knights are back in the conversation, and they're not done. We've already... The stupid thing is that we've already talked about this. We literally talked about it last week, right?
We spent like 40 minutes talking about it.
Yes. So I don't want to spend 40 minutes talking about it again.
No.
But again, it's what assets do the Golden Knights now have? Because Nicholas Waugh, we actually mentioned his name last week if it was going to be part of a package, but he's now gone. So it sucks, but
yeah,
like if this is the route we're going down, right, and Anderson's going to sign there long term, the conversation has to begin with Pavel Dorofeyev.
It has to.
Right? Like, I don't think there's any other way around it, right?
No, you're absolutely right.
We don't want, for Conroy and crew, no more draft picks. They've already got Vegas' first-round pick next year, which is not going to be low because now they have Mitch Marner, and he's going to put up another stupid...
Imagine they just have like imagine if they just like capitulate and we get like a top 10 pick.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. That would be heaven. That would be heaven. But one can dream. So, again, it starts with Dorofeyev, and the conversation rolls from there. I don't want to hear anybody else's name being thrown out there. I don't even want to hear Jack Eichel's name because you're only getting 1 year out of him, and it's not going to happen anyway because he has a full no move, so it makes absolutely no sense to do it. But
it's not going to be Barbashev either because apparently Kelly McCrimmon said a couple days ago he apparently spoke to Barbashev, Hurdle, and William Karlsson and said that they have no intention of moving any of them. So the question then becomes, what else? I'm not doing a 1-for-1. I'm very sorry. That's not what I'm here for.
And to mention it here too, of course the Knights could always offer first round picks in the future years, namely 2020.
That
it doesn't seem appealing.
No.
We don't care about that anymore, right?
We don't care.
So it's exactly. So what happens in the article here that they bring up? Boom. Pavel Dorofeyev at 24
him with
years
Kadri
old.
would be very fun, in my opinion.
That's where the conversation, and so Flames Nation agrees that's where we literally talked about it beginning of Monday last week, where we said that's where the conversation begins, and that's exactly where it needs to be. The winger had 35 goals and 52 points, right? So I don't even care, like, at that point, if it's a 1-for-1. You know?
You would be content with that? Personally?
Yes. Yep, I would.
even if it comes with an extension.
For Dorofeyev, for Dorofeyev, he's got an RFA. This is a year coming up for him actually because he's gonna be an RFA next year.
It's true.
So I think it would have to. I
hate this. I hate this because we have to have no disrespect to Flames Nation because I get it. You have to write this article.
Yeah,
but I feel bad that they had to write this article because
it's tough. It's tough. I don't feel bad. I think it's tough.
Look at this part. It said the night. Like if you look at the very bottom here, it says that said the Knights wouldn't be thrilled to trade their breakout star and probably wouldn't even consider it. Then that's the end of this conversation. I'm very sorry because you have nothing else. And again, the Golden Knights are trying to do what they did with Noah Hannafin.
Right.
And that is not even forced, but like try to get the Flames to give up one of your top defensemen for no disrespect, very little to nothing.
And don't forget, they mentioned it here too, where you want the Knights to fall off coming up, even after getting Mitch Marner. You wouldn't want to give them another weapon in Anderson because you want them to be bad next year because you have their first round pick.
And you have to, and so that's where I'm looking at it like it has to be, if you're Craig Conroy and you keep getting calls from Kelly McCrimmon, you start every phone call with Diaforev or nothing. Or you get we're starting there. And I'm very sorry.
It starts there, and I actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, it would probably have to be a pretty big package, right? Because again,
especially if we're in the offseason, if this is an off-season move,
yes,
you have time to do this and work it out.
And the Knights are coming back to this, right? They're coming back to Anderson.
Yes.
So they don't.
Who's going to replace Pietrangelo on the back end?
Well, that's what like Theodore might be the only guy.
But he's a lefty. He's a left-handed defenseman.
Well, there you go. Or
Noah
Hannafin. Noah Hannafin. Right? So I think it's,
Nick Hague.
I think what's nice though, if you really think about it, the Flames hold the cards here in a potential deal with them.
They have full control over this.
They have absolutely full control. They don't have to do this, right? Yeah. It'd be a dick move. I remember they talked about it the other day. On I believe it was on Flames Nation, I think. I can't remember what it was. But they were like, why don't you sign Anderson to an extension and then trade him?
Oh, I could do that.
They could, but like you can't. You can't do that, right? Because then Anderson would immediately say, okay, well, my first year here, like, because I guess he doesn't have, well, he still has that modified no trade list, but he's locked down long term.
But he's also like, the problem is, I think Anderson isn't there been a report that said like he would only sign long term with Vegas? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, but at this rate, he won't. Like at this rate, with the way the noise has been carried out, like he's not going to sign long term in Calgary.
I don't think Anderson is like necessarily like, I don't think he hates Calgary management or anything like that. I think it's more of like you have to come to him and you have to be honest with him and say, look, if Vegas gave us a good offer, we'd do it. But they're not budging. And so it's like you got to work with us a little bit here to try to forget.
This is going to be the only time in Anderson's career where he's going to have this type of decision in free agency, right?
Sure.
That's huge, right? Yeah. It's the only time. If anybody has control in this situation, it is Anderson at the end of the day.
Sure.
It doesn't matter, right?
And I think what's unfortunate for any other team that has interest in Anderson, is that if that report is truly true that he would only sign an extension in Vegas, why would you call Calgary? Why would you attempt it
why would anybody else?
Unless you're totally content with him being a rental. So look at it this way, right? Let's say like the Leafs call, just as an example. If they're fully content with, we'll just bring in Anderson for a year and then we just, if we don't keep him, we don't keep him.
Sure.
Then that could probably make it easier to make a move. But also like Anderson might have a bitchy attitude about it.
Sure.
It's tough. And I want Vegas to come back to the table and say, fine, we'll give you Pavel and.
But I'd want him signed. But I'd want Pavel signed.
I would say, look, here's what we'll do.
He has to be signed. Can't do 1 year.
Now, do you think Vegas would want it the other way as well with Anderson? Do you think that they would? I imagine that would probably be something discussed, like, oh, both guys are signed and then they get moved, kind of thing.
I think it would still cost Vegas more.
I agree.
Two
firsts.
I think for Pavel,
I would only take draft picks if we can use them as assets. Maybe, you know what I mean?
I would take Pavel, but I think I'd be okay if they was a sign and trade, and that's where the conversation started here with Dorofiev, is around like a 4 or 5 year extension. I'd be okay with that.
5.
I would go.
I'm leaning towards 5 personally, but that's
sure. I would go 5 because you're going to get the most of his years out of it, right?
Sure.
But
Sure.
I think it would still, to me, I think there still needs to be more that comes from it. I think it's going to take the.
They have no disrespect to anybody, but like they don't have any prospect to me that's like.
So then, if that's the case, then like drain their prospect pool. Then screw it.
Fine.
Right? Give me your next.
Take on another RFA. I'd take on another young RFA.
Give me another unprotected first round pick and maybe another 1-2 on top. Like it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Right? Because your hands are essentially tied. And if he really wants to go there, like to me at this point, even after the Mitch Marner signing, ain't no fucking way this team is not making the playoffs.
I want to actually look up their prospect.
Their prospect pool is not. I think it starts with like their new guy coming in at like number 52.
Like the guy they just drafted.
Wozniak, I think was his name.
Oh God.
Their prospect pool is not good.
Right now, the highest ranking. Oh, this is sad. Oh my God! Oh my God! This is like nothing. I'm sorry, very disrespectful, but this is like not much.
Plus, they have a decision to make coming up with Jack Eichel too.
They do. Their highest rated prospect currently is Lucas Van Villette out of the University of St. Thomas in the NCAA. He was drafted last year in the 7th round.
Right.
This podcast is supported by The Real Real. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The Real Real.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The Real Real? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The Real Real than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The Real Real. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
Right.
I mean, he does have a lot of accolades. I give him that. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'd start with that too. Why not?
That's the thing. That's the thing. You don't have any prospects that intrigue me at all.
I wouldn't even take them. They have one goaltending prospect.
Right.
One.
No, goaltending. Flames aren't in the market for gold. Well, wouldn't make sense if they're in the market for
No, they don't.
So let's look.
This is terrible.
Let's look at this again because I think we need to look at this again.
It's so weird seeing, by the way, Mitchell Marner. That throws me off.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Don't ever do that. Guys, don't ever do that again.
So 3 guys here. No movement clause, no movement clause, no movement clause here for Stone, Eichel, and Marner. And then I'll quickly look at their defense here. Pietrangelo, also, I hope he gets better because it sounds like his career is over.
I think his career is done.
It sucks.
Even that letter that he wrote in his message, it really did sound like he was like, I don't expect myself to be back. I don't even know what he might be dealing with. They didn't even...
We have no idea.
I'm scared.
But no trade clauses either for Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, and Braden McNabb. So let's go back and also too for Riley Smith and Brennan Saad, but that doesn't really matter at this point.
I'm surprised, by the way, Victor Olofsson is still a UFA. He's still there.
Yeah, he is still there. Yeah, he didn't have a great year though last year. Don't forget, Alexander Holtz is an RFA too.
Yes. No, he goes in the deal too. I'm telling you right now. As somebody who saw him play a lot, he's a very low risk because he's 23, Kyle, and he can shoot the puck very well when given a chance to shoot said puck. Right. Now, is he super fast? No. but also are the Flames a fast team? Also no. Respectfully, we're not that
Sure.
fast. That's a guy. You want to talk about competition? That's another guy. Also, I really.
Oh my God, Aiden Hill at 6.25 mil for how
And their
many
backup
years?
is Akira Schmidt.
Bro,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
now.
Elias Samsonov is still. Wait a minute. Elias Samsonov is still a free agent. Oh, that poor man.
To be fair, Aiden Hill is a Stanley Cup champion. So
I don't care, Kyle. That's a lot of money for Aiden Hill.
So we're not looking at defense because I don't think there's anybody there. You're not looking at goaltending, so we have to go back to the forward group here, right? See,
it has to be Dorofeev. It has to be.
Here's my problem with Holtz. You brought up Holtz, right?
I did.
The problem for me is I think there's too many guys in the pipeline for Calgary to allow Holtz to come in. Like, are you going to stick him on third line right wing? I don't know.
I only say maybe.
Like,
but
that's where Joel Farabee should be, right?
Yeah, and this is also to me, like, we talk about, like, we need more than just Dorofeev. I would take him. I would take Dorofeev, Holtz, and I would take at least 2 first-round picks. I'm being honest. Because I want flexibility.
Sure.
You're going to get Dorofeev, and that's great. Holtz is a low-risk move that you can, if you try, if it doesn't work kind of thing.
Sure.
And then you have first-round picks, which you don't even have to use them to draft players if you don't want to.
Right.
That's
here, does it say anywhere here about first-round picks coming up?
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is their non-roster forwards. We don't even know any of these guys.
What does that even mean? What does that actually mean?
I don't know.
Oh my God!
Let me go back up here. Hold on.
Let me Zach Whitecloud.
Draft picks. Here we go.
There we go. Look at this. They have nothing. Oh, wait a minute. No, they do have
nothing next year because we have it, right?
Let's take 27 and 28, Kyle. Let's have their entire future be us.
I mean, that might. Oh shit! I think it might be.
Yeah, bro. This is.
I think it would definitely like. And this is all hypothetical, right? Because if it comes down to it, and this is where we sit, right?
Yep.
Now, there is also the possibility here that you look at some guys as well too who could waive their no move. I don't think they would at all.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be too difficult. So to me, I don't think it's a matter of like, for me, it's a matter of, I think it's going to cost Vegas too much. It's going to cost you Dorofeev. If you want, like, it would have to be a sign and trade for Dorofeev. And I don't even know if I would be comfortable bringing in Holtz, to be honest, Neil.
Right.
Any other situation, I feel like you're absolutely right. Because you have Coronado as your second line right wing. You would bring in Dorofeev, right? You would have preferably Joel Farabee on that third line right wing to revive his career a little bit and play alongside Backlund and Coleman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where Holtz fits into the conversation. You know what I mean? That's my problem.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it might be he could be involved in the deal as like a filler, just kind of like to make something work. But also, he is an RFA.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would just kind of be like, what would you sign him to, kind of thing. But again, the Flames have cap, and it's not really something they're concerned about.
For sure.
I'm
not sure. I'm really not sure where the conversation goes after Dorofeev, because I don't know. Like we probably don't want more first round draft picks.
Yeah.
From
if
Vegas.
this was last year, I think I would be leaning more towards draft picks, and I would be more okay with it.
Sure.
But you don't want to make the same move that you made with Noah Hanifin. And I think that's honestly what Vegas is hoping for.
They're not going to get that, though.
That Calgary bites and says, all right, we'll take like a first round pick. And it's like, no, you idiots.
Well, I believe with Hannafin, it was also a sign and trade as well, too, because they got a first-round pick, which they probably desperately needed because they wanted to get the pool going, and they were hoping that Miromanov would turn into a better top 4 D-man, which he hasn't.
She hasn't.
So,
yeah,
it's going to be a fun conversation down the line.
It would be much more interesting if we could talk about other teams that were interested, and I'm sure that there are. I'm very sure that there are. But the problem is that everything stops if what Anderson is saying is true, where he's like, I'm only going to re-sign in Vegas. Well, then unfortunately that's the end of the conversation, because then you can't talk to other teams. You can't talk to Minnesota. You can't talk to Tampa. You can't talk to any of these teams and be like, all right, let's make a deal. You'll have to say, sorry, like, just FYI, he won't sign long-term if you take him. So if you're willing to take that risk and you're not on his no trade clause, then okay, we can make a deal. But other than that,
you could see something halfway through the year too, where you see a team that's performing really well, right?
Yeah.
And they have cup aspirations all of a sudden, right? Yeah. And that's something that they're missing, right? Then maybe that's something you look at and you can. And again, the problem is it would cost any team. And I have full trust that Conroy's going to get something done here. And you know what? Even if they trade him and, they're getting something out of it, at least you're not losing him for nothing, right?
Right.
That's the most important thing.
No, yeah. I mean, that's the big thing you look at here. So it's like, yeah.
But also,
if we're getting, go ahead.
They need to trade him this offseason. That's it.
They do. Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Luckily, it's only July, so we do have time.
Exactly.
And I think you should play the waiting game.
I think they have to. We'll see.
We'll
see who knocks on the door next, right?
I think Conroy's got to call McCrinnon and say, all right, here's the deal. Dorofeyev, and we'll talk. If you're not going to give us that, then we're not talking.
Yeah.
And have a good
season. That's where the conversation starts, and it has to be a sign and trade, and it's going to be more from there.
There you
because they're not going to get fleeced by Vegas again. They won't let that happen.
No, they're not.
They know who they are. They know what they're going to do. They're always going to do this. So you got to make sure they pay the piper every single friggin' time.
I would say to any team in the league right now, if you get a call from Vegas, either don't answer it or be a hard ass about it.
Always.
Because Vegas just wants to try to fleece you. That's essentially what they're doing, because what is their whole intention? To win.
Bingo.
To win.
Bingo. All right, let's move on to the last little segment we got for us here. Actually, 2 more, because we're going to talk about our favorite moments from this past season to wrap it up. But yeah, let's talk about what else happened at free agency. So we've got some guys, letter grades here. More of the ones that we haven't seen yet, nor have we talked about since last week.
Yeah.
So ESPN's going to give their grade. We're going to give our grade, and we'll go up from there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Number 1, Patrick Kane. They give him a nice 1-year deal, $3 million AAV. They give him a B. Any team that's serious about their postseason chances know that they're going to need proven top 6 scorers, and that's exactly who Kane is. Letter grade.
Yeah, I'd give him a B too. I think I look at it this way. I think Kane definitely enjoys playing in Detroit. He's made that kind of clear. He's still a top 6 winger even at his age. I think he's still fairly productive at his age. And I think Detroit needs that top 6 help. I'm very curious, though, what they do to kind of improve their defense a little bit, because that's something that even after getting John Gibson, which, by the way, very good deal, I think, for Detroit. I give him a lot of credit that
we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, that's not free agency. That's a trade.
Well, I think he's on the list here still.
All right, fine. I'll give him a B. I like it.
Okay, you like B?
I thought he was going to go to the Rangers again. I thought he was going to leave.
I'll go B- just because it helps them. I just hope that they can actually find a way to get in this year, right? We'll see what it does. But
do you like their 100-year logo, by the way? I do.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Let's move on here to the New Jersey Devils, Mr. Neil. Jake Allen, 5 years at $1.8 million. They gave him a B+. Where do you rate him?
Yeah, B+. 5 years. That was the first thing that people freaked out about. But then when you look at how little money he's actually making over 5 years, That's a great job by Tom Fitzgerald, I think, because what you're essentially doing is you are locking in the fact that Jake Allen, he even said it, he's going to retire as a Devil. One way or the other. He's not going anywhere else.
No, this is it.
He really likes playing New Jersey. And Jake Allen was very good. Jake Allen was very good in the year and change he's been in New Jersey. And he really likes playing with Markstrom, and that's great. So I would give them, actually, I'd give him an A- personally, because I like 5 years at only $1.8 million. Because here's what it is, Kyle. He could have signed with someone else for 2 years, $9 million in total. Instead, he stretches it out to the point where we don't have to worry about, with salary cap wise, goaltending.
Yep.
Because he's making very little. Now the pressure comes with, what is Jacob Markstrom's contract extension going to be like?
That's if he gets an extension, though, right? Like,
I
if that's
believe the plan is that's going to be the case, because if you didn't keep Jake Allen, I think it would have been different, because Markstrom was banging on the table for the Devils to keep Jake Allen. But
yeah, I think
that deal looks so funny to me. Just like on paper, it looks
really
funny.
I agree with B+. I actually like B+.
Fair.
It's good. It's more or less, I think it's so good for Allen's team, like in general, his team of guys, to work around to get something like this, because now
I think it's $9 million.
Right. It's not 2 years that's short and then you're done, right? But he stretches it out because he wants to play longer. And the fact that he gets to do it behind Markstrom. And if for some reason Markstrom doesn't come back, all you really have to do is go out there and find another goaltender who can play you 40 other games. And that's
they do have young prospects in the wing, like Nico Daws, that can come in and eventually play. Nico Daws has played over 50 games in the NHL already. In his career. So,
oh my God. Ow. We're good.
I think Kyle's having a Charlie horse, ladies and gentlemen.
Just got a Charlie horse. We're good.
Okay. Wonderful. So yeah, it's like,
we're good.
It was a little bit of a surprise that the Devils were able to keep him, because I think for several weeks the assumption was that he was going to test the market.
Sure.
But the fact they were able to get him done before he became a true free agent, I think is a job well done. First good move of the offseason.
Beautiful. Next, we have Mr. Brock Besser. 7 years, $7.25 million. It is a B ranking from ESPN. All the problems the Canucks had last season have now translated into Brock Besser, instead of going to free agency, locking down a 7-year deal with the Canucks. Great for Mr. Neal.
B- personally, because I'll tell you 2 reasons. One, this just proves that the grass is not always greener somewhere else. I mean, Brock Besser, I fully believe he wanted to be a Minnesota Wild. I fully believe that.
Okay.
And when Minnesota made the trade to get Tarasenko, that killed any sort of hope on that. And I think Besser, truly that Vancouver went back to the table and did this because they are trying everything possible to keep Quinn Hughes from going. That's what I see out of deals like this. For the player himself, good for him. Good move.
It's great for Brock. Yeah,
I actually think the AAV is not that bad, all considering.
Yeah, the AAV isn't bad. No, I do think it's. I like that you said B- because I was going to go down that route too. Actually,
I was C+ or B- if I'm being blunt. But I felt like C+ was a little bit harsh.
Yeah, you keep Brock, right? Because last year, or excuse me, in 2023-2024, he had a 40-goal year, right? But you wonder, like, they say it here in the article, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most dazzling guy, he's a good producer, right? I just wonder, like, what does this do for Vancouver down the line when you're trying to build a cup contender, right? Because they kind of had that, right? And now it's squandered a little bit, and it does seem like an attempt to be like, we're locking these guys down long term. Garland, Demko here for the next 3 years or so.
You still have Pettersson locked in.
Correct. Yeah. So you want to see what Pettersson does as well.
Even though they've definitely considered trading him.
To summarize, I don't hate it. I just wonder what's the direction now we're going with Vancouver.
This is the Jim Rutherford special, ladies and is he still no? Is he still there?
Patrick Allvin.
No, Patrick Allvin. Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I don't know.
All right. Next up is going to be Vladislav Gavrikov. 7 years, $7 million AAV here for the New York Rangers. Great.
C.
Yeah, I'm surprised they have it. I'm surprised
Here's the thing.
ESPN has it at B+.
Nah, sometimes I don't trust their judgment. Anyway, you trade Keandre Miller, who was going to make a decent amount of money, and he did on his new extension in Carolina.
Right.
You trade him away for a guy that was similar to Keandre Miller at almost the same. I don't get it. I don't get what the Rangers' direction is, other than they're going to just try to compete again next year. And they are damn lucky that they got to move Trouba and Kreider, because they wouldn't have had the money to do this. I like the fit. Fine. I don't like the money or term.
But I'm in the same boat. Yeah. I have that.
And I agree with this first statement. That is an early birthday present for Adam Fox, because his value just went up.
Yeah. So, you said C?
I said C.
I'd go C+. I agree.
Oh,
I don't like the term, and I don't like the money, but the fit is what helps.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all I'm going to give them.
I mean, it's an improvement over
Ryan Lindgren.
It's an improvement over Lindgren.
Yep.
I'd say that, which, by the way, that's another deal. If it comes up, we'll talk about it.
Don't like the term. I think the the money might be okay down the line, but you just wonder, is this the type of player that's going to continue to keep it up as time goes on? But it's great for Gavrikov, though. Don't forget.
Oh, great, yeah. He made bank. Yeah.
He made money on this. It was good for him. So, okay.
And look what Ken Holland did to replace him.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I jumped the gun a little bit early, but it is Ryan Lindgren here for the Seattle Kraken. 4 years, $4.5 million. ESPN has him at a B.
C-.
Ooh.
I don't.
Really?
I don't get it. I don't. What is Seattle trying to do with any of the moves they've made?
So
what are they trying to do? What are they looking to? I mean,
it just seems like they're trying. So here, I've seen in past free agencies, it didn't work out there with who's the guy they just traded Veleno for.
Oh yeah, they bought him out.
Oh, they bought him out. Right.
Veleno just got bought out. Yeah.
Veleno got bought out. Right.
That didn't work.
No, didn't work at all for Chicago. But
what move have they made that actually worked out? Oh, Kaapo Kakko.
Kakko, Montour,
which he still isn't signed yet, by the way. He's still an RFA.
Right, but it's kind of like they're just signing guys who,
for the sake of doing it.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's what I feel like they did last year. They got Montour, which was fine because Montour actually was very good. Stevenson, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt moving forward.
Really hurt.
Here's the thing with Lindgren. He's not a bad player. The problem is that this man gets hurt every single year because he blocks so many shots. And yeah, their penalty kill might be better next year, but they lack scoring, Kyle. They lack scoring, and they lack goaltending.
Yeah.
And so
I think they could have put their money elsewhere.
That's why I gave him a C-, because I'm like, I don't get it.
I'll go C+. To be honest, I agree. They need other areas to help. You've got Montour up there. I think there's just other areas where you need to address. Sure. And I think you need to complement some of your younger guys up front. So I'll go C+ on that. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on. We have Nate Schmidt heading to Utah. He gets his little payday after winning the Cup at 3 years, $3.5 million at a B+ rating here from ESPN.
I'd stick with B+. First and foremost, I kind of like what Utah's done this offseason, except maybe trading Michelli, which I feel like they really didn't have to do that. But,
sure.
They did it. Nonetheless, they are definitely preparing for something other than getting Peterka. Sure. And that's just my thought. And maybe that'll be next year's free agency. But their defense definitely got a little bit better with adding Nate Schmidt. It's the cup tax, whatever you want to call it. Or as they say here, call it the Florida effect. Cup
tax.
Yeah, and he's a really solid shutdown defenseman. I thought he had a great final, by the way. I thought
he had a really good final.
Well,
really
if
good
keep
final.
That up. That's really good for Utah.
Yeah.
The 3-year contract, $3.5 million is in this economy is honestly not that bad.
And by the last year of its deal, it's not going to be much considering how much the cap is going to go up by then.
No. With deals like this, in this day and age, we would look at it and say it's a solid deal. By the time it gets to the end of it, we'll be like, that's literally nothing.
It's nothing,
So-
and even if he falls off, it's not going to cost them a lot, and they're okay to just let him walk, right?
It's fine. So I would I'll stick with B+. I'm with it. I like it.
Yeah, I like the direction. I think a Utah team that did give up a lot of goals this year. I think it definitely helps on the back end. So yeah, they needed it. I don't think it's a ton of money, and I would probably I'll go B.
Okay.
I like it at B though. Yeah, or you know what? No, I like
room
B
for
plus.
improvement.
B plus. Yeah, no, I like B plus actually too. I should say that instead.
Nice.
Okay. Now,
Oh God, no. F. No, I'm kidding.
Corey Perry on a 1-year deal, $2.5 million, B plus, heading to LA.
Do I give the Kings a grade or do I give the Oilers a grade?
You can go both.
I'll give the Oilers an F. Like, because why couldn't you keep him around?
Well, because Corey saw that LA was going to give him more money than Edmonton was going to give him.
Yeah,
and at this point, if you can't win a cup going to 5 straight finals,
this screams to me that I think Perry is like. Remember, people forget Corey Perry did win a cup.
Yeah,
it's not like he's not going to walk away and be like, "Oh, I never won." Yes, it was in 2007. I recognize.
Still won. Who cares?
But this man, like, so for LA, yeah, B plus is fine. But why
are you giving Corey Perry? Okay, so here's the stupid
why
thing, right?
Why are the Kings doing any of the moves that they made? Forget just Corey. Like, look at like we did on the back end. What is going on?
They're giving Corey. So he had 19 goals. He had 30 points in 81
he
games
had a
last
good.
year.
He actually had a pretty good year last year
because he fucking played with McDavid.
That's true.
And Draisaitl at some point.
That's true.
And
now
Zach Hyman.
Now he's going to play with like Fiala.
Quentin Byfield?
Like,
you can't stick him on the fourth line. Like, you got to stick him up there.
Paying him that, he better be playing higher minutes.
I don't know what this does for LA. Amongst the other signings that they had, I think Cody Cece's in here. We'll get into that.
Cody Cece.
Like D plus here. I don't get why they needed Corey going in. I don't get it. And clearly he cashed in and they were willing to give him the money. So good for them. Terrible. All right. Moving on here. We have the Anaheim Ducks. Michael Granlund, 3 years, $7 million AAV. They gave him a C plus ranking.
I'm giving them a C minus because here's the thing. Granlund is a good player. What is Anaheim trying to do? Like
if there's any teams looking to try what they're doing, it's Anaheim. I don't know.
Look, they have the cap to do things like this. I mean, first and foremost, like I still don't get why Pat Verbeek made the deals he made with the Rangers. I'm still perplexed.
Again, good for Granlund.
Good for Granlund.
Great for Granlund. Yes.
I guess he doesn't care that much about winning at this point.
Is he a $7 million player? No.
No, he's not. Respectfully, no. But
he's not.
I mean, how old is he now? Is he in his 30s?
Between San Jose and Dallas last year, he had 22 goals and 44 assists.
He was very good in the playoffs.
And he was fine in the playoffs. I just don't see him as a $7 million player.
Yeah, so if Cutter Gauthier, Chris Kreider, and also,
Carlson, McTavish being there.
Well, McTavish might get moved.
He might get moved.
Which I think he's going to end up getting traded. I don't know where he's going to go, though.
So just quickly what ESPN's saying here. He has 21 million reasons to leave the Finnish Mafia.
Well, they do have a lot of Finns in Dallas, yes.
Yeah. They do have a lot of salary cap, is what they're saying here for a team trying to improve overall defensively. Granlund is anything but a 200-foot player. He was negative relative to his teammates across the board defensively in Dallas. So he's more of that offensive type man who's not a 200-foot player.
So is Kreider. So what are we getting here?
Right.
What's happening?
I just don't think it makes sense. I'll go C minus.
Sure.
Good for Granlund. Great for him. For the Ducks, makes no sense. All right. Brent Burns, 1 year, $1 million, heading to Colorado.
A minus for this one. I like it a lot.
I really like it too.
And I hate Colorado that they get to do things like this.
I really like it too.
I'm just going to be honest. You mean to tell me you're replacing Brent Burns with Keandre Miller? Is that what I'm understanding at Carolina? Is that what I'm going for? No. I think Brent Burns should have stayed. But that's not up to him. The Hurricanes didn't want to keep him. They want to keep him. Burns is still a productive player.
Listen, I said it to
In
the
behind
Surgecast
McCarr is
guys. I said it to
nasty.
the Surgecast guys. I remember when I jumped on with them after Carolina lost to Florida in the East Final.
Nice.
And they were kind of saying or alluding to the same thing, where Burns really should not be playing those top 4 minutes, especially deep into those playoffs, because that's where
Yeah.
it was kind of hurting for him.
Yep.
But he's able to slide into a Colorado line here where you have Devon Tays and Cale Makar already on your top unit.
And you have
I'm
Josh
okay-
Jansen on that second pairing. You could stick Burns on the third pairing, and you're good.
I like it a lot. I
They
think it's a great
progressively
sign.
get taller on that right side. If you think about it, like McCarr, then
Yep.
Manson, then Burns.
I really, really like this signing for Colorado. I think it's a
Yeah.
great one, especially because they're still in that cup window where they can still add. So, no, I like it. It gives Burns still another chance to try and go for a cup next
Yeah.
year. But yeah, I like it a lot.
I'm excited to see Landeskog full year.
Me
healthy.
too.
Really excited for him.
All right. Nick Ehlers, 6
Uh,
years, $8.5 million. They gave him an A-. Do you concur?
I concur because of I think the deal itself actually is pretty good for both teams. It was clearly obvious that Nikolai Ehlers wanted to go somewhere else. I don't think he ever really had.
He was done.
I
Yeah.
think the one question that I have, that was interesting. I have one question though. Will he fit in Rob Brindamore's system? I think that's going to be the big question because you think about some of the names that have come through Carolina the last couple of years, right? You have Jake Gensel, then you obviously have Mikko Rantanen, and it hasn't worked out. Now, granted, for Stankoven, who's maybe not at the same level as some of these other guys I mentioned,
Sure.
he fits in better in that system. I agree with that.
And I love the Stankoven signing, by the way.
I do, 100%. I think for the Hurricanes, I think what's refreshing is that they finally got a top flight scoring winger long term, and that's I think that's great. I think that's great. This is not a knock on the Hurricanes or Ehlers or it's just where I'm very curious to see how he fits in that system. He might fit in perfectly and it works out great. He may also not. I don't know. So we'll see. But the Hurricanes needed to do this. They wanted to get Mitch Marner. But when it was clearly obvious that Mitch Marner didn't want to go anywhere but Vegas, they pivoted.
Done.
I'm sure they're glad to not pay $14 million for Mitch Marner right now.
Well, 12 mil was.
Or 12. Well, that was the Hurricanes reportedly were willing to offer said $14 million.
Sure.
But I think for the Hurricanes, I agree, A-, and that could be bumped up to an A if he fits into that system. And I hate it.
So
for the Devils' perspective, I hate that.
So I'm gonna. Here's such a weird thing.
Cal's going with like a D.
No, it's weird. I'm giving it an A- too.
Okay.
But here's my problem. The term's great, the money's great, the signing itself is great. No problem with it. Carolina needed it. Absolutely. Does it make them better in the playoffs with the path that they have to still go through if it happens to be Florida again? If they have to go through Florida again, I think the same thing happens because you're losing size, right? You lost. We just talked about it.
You lost Burns.
In size.
I mean, you did add size with Keandre. Keandre Miller's a big guy.
Sure. Florida pretty much wiped the floor with Carolina there, right? I think Carolina's a cup final team. If it wasn't for Florida, I don't know. Maybe the
Leafs. They're the favorites right now, the betting favorites. Carolina.
Yeah, it's Carolina, isn't it? Yeah.
Once again,
I just wonder.
People really like Carolina.
I just wonder. And who knows with goaltending coming up, and maybe they fix that. I don't know. Everything about it is great. I just think about the playoffs where you need to be successful, right? And you do have some of these Eastern Conference teams catching up slightly, right? I just wonder, is it going to be enough? And we're going to find out.
I think that's a fair question.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
I think the big thing is, do they have depth?
Yeah.
They added to that score. Look, don't get me wrong. The moves for Ehlers needed to be done, in my opinion.
Yes. I'm going to look.
It's just that, is there more coming? I don't know.
Sure. Just a couple more to throw at you here. Marchand, they gave him a B+.
That should be illegal.
I love
things like this should be illegal.
I love that they gave him 6 years. How funny is that?
So he retires in Florida. Who cares?
Exactly. Bouchard, we didn't talk about this one here. Bouchard, $10.5 million. Apparently, Carolina was
willing. Deal?
Well, apparently Carolina was willing to offer Cheatham if it went that far at $9.5 million. And Edmonton had to make sure that they kept him because they valued him that way. And that's why they gave him 10.5. I hate how this is an A. I don't like how this is an A for ESPN.
Like, you don't agree, or do you?
I don't agree at all. I don't agree at all. I don't agree at all.
I think I would give them a B for this one because 10.5 over 4 years is a lot. And also, here's the thing.
Which kicks in this year.
But where does I know the salary cap's going up, but where does the money for Connor McDavid come from? What are they going to pull out of their rear ends to keep him?
Yeah. Also, fuck them for getting Andrew Mangiapane.
That was great.
Screw that. That's I hope they beat the crap out of him next year.
I think he's gonna get booed.
100% he'll get booed.
Calgary.
Yep, 1,000%. Yep. Maybe just a quick take.
This is an F. No, this is an F. This is an F. This is an F. I don't like it one bit.
Fire away.
This is a massive overpay for a guy that's like a decent second pairing defenseman.
For those of you who don't see, by the way, it's Ivan Provorov.
It's Ivan Provorov.
7 years, 8.5 million.
Yes. Yeah. One thing I will give Provorov credit for is he's very durable. He doesn't miss games. He's there in the lineup, and that's great. This man doesn't really produce a lot of points. 33 points is decent, but Kyle, do you like a 33-point defenseman as your second pairing defenseman? Do you like that? No. So they're going C+ because they're trying to be generous about it. The Blue Jackets have done so many good moves. Yes. This is the one I don't like.
Correct.
I don't like it. Should have let him walk.
Correct. Yeah.
Should have let him walk. You could have found someone the same thing for about 3/4 of the price.
You got it. I think we're missing a couple. We already saw Ekblad.
I hate this move.
We already talked about this one last week. We talked about Ekblad.
Hate it.
And that was it. So there you go.
Sam Bennett. I hate that.
What are some of the other moves that LA made? They got Cody Ceci at 4 years.
Brian Dumoulin at 4 years.
Brian Dumoulin. I'm forgetting one. Well, they got Corey Perry, which we went over. So real quick then, before we go into our last segment, winners and losers up to this date here on our last final show until September, winners and losers of free agency.
Winners, I'll go with Florida because they were obviously able to keep all of their guys, and that's awesome.
Yep.
Vegas, simply put, for the fact that they got Mitch Marner and they, just stacking them up as we go along. I'll give Carolina. Right now, I'll give Carolina winners. Honestly, I think
I like that too.
Yep. Yeah.
I like it.
Losers. I feel like I'm missing somebody for a winners one. Probably not. Losers. The Kings. Don't get it. Trying to think of who else.
Who else sucked? Seattle.
Seattle? Yeah, that's a question mark.
Yeah.
Anaheim.
Anaheim's a big question mark too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know what they're doing. No idea what they're doing.
I still don't get trading Zegras. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get you get Kreider and you replace Zegras with Kreider. I don't get that. I don't.
Wasn't a lot of value that came back the other way. Because you took a lot of the teams that, fair enough for the winners and losers portion of it. Yeah, Florida's season winner.
Wait, also, can we throw Nashville in there?
Yeah, sure. We can throw Nashville in there. Yep. Losers.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. No, I got it. Boston. Tanner Janelle. What the actual hell are we doing?
Yeah, that's right.
I think Pastrnak's going to get traded in a year or two.
Winners, the teams who didn't spend a lot of money this offseason. I would throw Calgary in there.
I could throw the Devils in there right now.
Devils could go in there.
The Devils got Evgeny Dadonov, Kyle, for $1 million. This dude scored 20 goals last year.
Yeah, for a year, right?
For a year. Well, apparently it's more. It's a year, but apparently it's more than $1 million. But there's incentives.
Bonus to incentives.
It's hilarious.
I like that.
And then they got Connor Brown, which I know some people say a little bit of an overpay, but this is also free agency. What the hell? I like Connor Brown. I do. Now, if they could sign Luke Hughes, that would be great, and trade Palat's contract, which I don't think that they will.
And that'll probably happen after we're done.
Oh, I've been looking at my phone for the better part of the entire hour we've been on, and
What's happening?
I don't.
No update from Frege. Nothing from the Frege.
Nothing free. I heard the BS. I don't know if you saw the BS report from NHL. I think it's called NHL Rumor. What's
Which
it called? An NHL Rumor Bot. It's not a bot. It's something else. Anyway, the point is that someone said, "Oh yeah, a lot of trades coming this week." I'm like, "Yeah, we said that before the draft, and nothing happened."
So I don't believe
I'm
you.
not falling for this.
No, I don't believe it until I see it again. Right?
Let me see it, and then we can talk.
Yeah, but definitely winners for a couple of winners who didn't spend a lot here at free agency. I thought I liked Utah. Actually, Utah made some nice moves. I like Utah too.
Yeah, Utah.
Utah made some nice moves. Utah made some nice moves, but maybe they're trying to clear some cap, or we're trying to spend as little too.
Yeah.
In order to get ready for next season, because there's going to be some teams ready to pounce,
For
like
sure.
San Jose too.
Oh, San Jose! I wouldn't. San Jose's weird. I would like to put them in.
They're in the middle because they got
the middle
Orlov.
because I like picking up Nick Leddy off waivers.
Yeah,
I like that. They brought in Orlov, which I know a lot of people were oh, someone's going to overpay. The Sharks didn't even overpay to get Orlov. And I like it because I think overall what the Sharks are trying to do is progressively get better.
Yep.
I think that's essentially what they're doing. And
they're going to get there.
They're going to get there. I think give it another year or two, they're going to be a really, really fun team to watch.
Makes that Pacific Division that much more interesting, doesn't it?
Imagine. I'm not even trying to. Oh, we're going to get to the era where Calgary, San Jose, Utah are going to be the top 3 teams in the Pacific Division.
unless I don't know, unless Edmonton's going to get another kick at the can at it. But okay, let's wrap this show up. Let's go back and what was your favorite moment of the year for the Flames? If you had to pick one.
There's been a couple of good ones. I would say honestly, one of my favorite moments was actually that comeback that they had against New Jersey in what was it, March?
Yeah, when they were in Jersey. Yeah,
they were in Jersey and they came back from down. I want to say it was 3. I think
3-1. I think
they were down 3-1, and they scored 3 goals in the span of 90 seconds.
Yeah.
It was chaos. It was chaos, and it was impressive. It was really impressive. There was also that goal. I don't remember what game, but it was that goal that Connor Zary scored.
Okay.
It was an overtime. I think it was an overtime goal, I want to say.
I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or any goal that Matthew Coronado scored, because I don't know. I just really liked watching Coronado play this year personally.
And it's exciting to watch him too going forward. I actually have 2. I love Kadri's goal when he jumped over the Tampa Bay defenseman. I can't remember who it was he jumped over. That was cool. And then Justin Kirkland shootout winner against Pittsburgh.
That was early in the year.
It was super early, but it was whoa. It was just cool to watch. It was really
Never
fun
forget
to watch.
those first 15, 20 games when we were like, oh, I guess we're not really rebuilding or tanking. I guess we're actually trying to.
I think overall though, I certainly wasn't expecting a playoff push. I don't think either of us were expecting a playoff push. But to have that excitement that we had going to the end of the year where we had a nice playoff push, that brought some joy back to me, and that's what I want to see. I want a team that's going to be fighting and gritty and fight tooth and nail to try to win.
And I think that's what we're going to get next year too.
I believe that too.
With hopefully a little bit more offense.
So I guess that wraps up season 1, if you want to put it that way.
Sure. I mean, the following episodes could also still be like season 1 because it's
it's like extras at this point. So the plan is, again, they're going to be about 10 minutes long, and they're going to come out every single Monday for you guys. Going to be public scheduled and ready to go. It'll be about our draftees. Again, if there's any sort of breaking news, that's monumental. We'll try and maybe see if we can break one out for a 20-minute little segment. But as far as we know, that's gonna wrap it up here for our first full year.
57 episodes of the first year.
That's crazy.
That's
nuts. It's pretty good.
Very good. And we didn't even start this podcast didn't even start a year ago. It hasn't even been a year yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we started end of September-ish.
Yeah. We started right at the beginning of preseason.
Something like that. But so September 8th will be beginning of the next season, and we're going to be off now for the next 2 months. But
Well, Kyle will be off. I'll probably
well,
still be
we're also going to spend like 2 hours this week to record some of those draft
I
picks.
think I'm going to do the exact same thing with Devil's Stay Mine. I think I'm going to spend like 3 hours. I think I'm going to do player reviews. I think that's probably
player reviews, whatever it may be. For me, it'll be draft picks that we just got because it's just easier.
You do a full episode on how stupid a trade for Anderson to Vegas would be.
It'll be something so random.
It'll be like 5 minutes.
Absolutely. So unless you hear from us from anything breaking, that's going to wrap it up for our first full year. Good stuff as always, Neil. Good
Thank
first
you.
year.
You as well.
And we'll see what's in store September 8th coming up. So can't wait for that.
Now I can put on my sunglasses and enjoy the beach.
Enjoy the beach. I know. I can't wait for this. Like,
can this be the thumbnail? Just
I know we've had some time, a little bit already. I don't have a vacation until like end of July coming up.
My vacation, funny enough, is like the third week of September, going to Vegas.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna go see the Golden Knights play too, probably.
Beauty. Yeah, that'll be. I'll be end of July, having a full week off. Still got some stuff to take care of here on the THPN side of things, but
also shout out to CBJ Subjectively for rejoining.
Yeah, they're coming back. Yeah, I heard about that.
Absolutely love those guys. They are phenomenal people.
Heard that about a month ago. We learned about it about a month ago.
I mean, I just found out about it 2 days ago. But that's me.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to our intern who has been nothing short of killing it with.
He's been great.
Social media posts, the articles. He's great.
So he's. It's funny because he's got a full-time gig too, and he's been doing this just whenever. I just told him whenever he can. Like, you don't have to rush things, and no, he's been doing great, and yeah, I'm going to help him a little bit this summer as well too, just with some little side things. But yeah, he's been doing great, and yeah, we're kind of just we're pretty much reloading here coming into July.
We are reloading.
A lot of new shows coming up. A lot of new shows.
I was going to tell me all this after we say
pretty much. All right, let's wrap it up. Good enough. Good first year. We'll see you all again September 8th. Check it out every Monday, guys, for Draft Pick.
I think I'm going to get a jersey by the start of next year, just so I can like wear it and feel like I'm kind of part of it. Because you have obviously that jersey. I want to feel more.
Which is blank.
Doesn't matter. Blank is better. No, blank is better unless you're getting like a Hall of Famer or legend. Blank is better.
Yeah. You know what my favorite moment actually was this year? I think we should mention this before we go. All the tributes for Gaudreau.
Absolutely.
That's probably got to be the first one on the list.
Love it.
It was, you know what? Like, to start the year, I think like we never expected that to happen. Obviously, nobody did. But the tributes and the way they were able to honor him were phenomenal. And that's how I want to end the episode, because I think that's something that we don't want to forget. And we're going to approach the anniversary of it, 1 year anniversary of it next year when we start it again. And it's going to be a conversation that will continue for a very long time. So I just wanted to give that a quick shout out as well too. So, okay, that's truly it. That's it.
Great.
We'll see you guys again on September 8th. Be sure to check out every Monday coming up, though. We'll have a 10-minute little power hour of our little spiel of our draft picks. But that's it for season 1. We'll see you guys again in the fall. Later, guys.